Welcome back, Tide and Tigers. Hey, it's college football preview time. 12-team playoff time. Hey, exciting times for college football. I've been so pumped for them to expand it. It's gone from 2 to 4, now to 12. This is what a time to be alive. Now, before we get to the college football preview, I didn't want to put those games into our head-to-head, our two-game head-to-head, because I wanted you to feel free and us not to go with who we wanted to go with.
Yeah.
So I did two other games that are going to be this week.
Hit me with them.
Tulane versus Florida.
Ooh, good games.
Stop getting so excited, okay? Listen, all right, I know you're pumped for the preview, but you ain't got to. Chance is overexcited on this one this time. So Florida's -13. I'm going with the Gators. Tulane quarterback has transferred. He's going to Duke. Malik Murphy obviously leaving Duke. So no quarterback. I'm taking the Gators at -13.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go against you there. Florida, I just don't see them having everything together. They're probably too excited about the transfer portal and stuff too. I'm gonna go with Tulane covering that +13.
So again, that was one of the worst points you've ever made. Why would they be excited about the transfer portal?
No, I'm saying their players not focused and stuff like that. Like they're thinking.
Oh, they're leaving. So now the Gators team, the whole team's leaving.
Not the whole team.
I think Lagway and Napier got some big things coming next year, so I disagree on that. All right, now the Dakota marker. This is not really a big D1 game, but it's South Dakota versus North Dakota State. One of the biggest rivalries. They're playing in the Final Four of the Division II playoffs. This is I always seem to find out watching this game when it ends up coming on the playoffs. South Dakota State would have been 6 straight games. They lost this year to North Dakota State. It was in Fargo. This game's in Fargo. I like South Dakota State to come back and win the game this time and advance to the finals. What about you, Chance?
I'm going to go with North Dakota State. Go with those Bisons.
Okay, all right. So Chance is going with North Dakota State. I'm going with South Dakota State. That's our head-to-head. We'll see how it goes. It's obviously been very one-sided. You know who to roll with here on Tide and Tigers. So, all right, college football preview time. This is awesome. Just looking at this slate of games. At this point, Alabama's not in it. I had to throw that in there. But we're going to give our 4 picks for this week's games, and then we're going to go over the bracket and just kind of see what your final prediction is. So let's start out with, I think, the biggest game of the weekend, Tennessee versus Ohio State. Ohio State is 7.5-point favorite. I think that probably, most people would probably think that's a little high. Chance, who are you going with in that game?
Just because it's 7.5, I see it being like a 5-point game.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with Tennessee. It's at +7.5.
Nico's going to have a big game. You think Heupel's going to have them dialed in? Or
I don't know if it's going to be Nico per se, even though he is going to be he's supposed to be one of the top Heisman candidates coming in next year.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
So, I mean, he's going to have a good game, I'm sure, but I think the whole team's going to just – I don't know. Defense is what I think it's going to come down to.
All right, defense. I think Ohio State's going to bounce back from the Michigan game. I think Will Howard, as much as he's, been the way he is lately, I think Jeremiah Smith's going to have a big game. I like Ohio State at the 7.5. I would probably buy the point and get it at 6.5, but I like Ohio State by a touchdown to beat Tennessee and advance to the semifinals.
I also don't think Will Howard is up to what they made him out to be preseason. I don't think he's as good as I know the team is. I just don't think he's that great of a quarterback.
Excuse me, the quarterfinals. There's 12 teams, not 8 teams. This would go to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Remember, these games are home games, too. So this is these are not neutral-based games. You remember, take that into fact, too.
That is right.
So your pick. So Ohio State is playing at home.
That is right.
So I like the Buckeyes at home by 7. It's at 7.5. I'll take the 7.5, but I'll probably go down to 6.5. All right, next game, Notre Dame in Indiana. This game is played in Notre Dame. This is going to be a Friday night game. Notre Dame favored by, 7 points. Both these games, 7-point games. I like the Irish. Notre Dame is on a hot streak. I don't believe in Indiana. Yeah. I don't think they've beaten anybody all year. Give me the Irish. I love what Freeman's doing up there. I like Notre Dame to advance.
I agree with you on this. I'm going to go with the Irish as well. But the funny thing being, this is the type of game where Indiana's going to come out and win by 20 points and make us look stupid because nobody expects it. But I'm still going to go with Notre Dame -7.
I'm not an Indiana believer. I think Bama should have made it over them, so I'm going with Notre Dame. All right. Another big game, Clemson versus Texas. This to me, 12-point spread after Clemson just beat SMU. I love Clemson at +12. I love it a lot. I'm going to take Clemson. I think Kublik, I wasn't a believer. Dabo's got me to be a believer. I'm taking Clemson at +12, but I'm taking Texas to win the game. Just closer than the experts think. Lee Corso shot it right there. This game will be in Texas. So Clemson, I'm taking Texas. I'm taking Clemson at +12, but I still think Texas is going to win the game.
I was looking at that line backwards earlier. No wonder I had such an easy thought. Let's see. I still think Texas is going to win, like you said. Dabo has proven to keep games close, especially games you don't expect him to. But I see in this situation, Texas just running away with it.
Wow. So you were second guessing, but now you're not. You're thinking Texas at 12 like you had originally.
Now that I'm thinking about it, as long as Ewers keeps dumping off his screens and his dump offs and everything, and doesn't have to throw the ball over 15 yards, they'll be fine. If they do, take him out, put Manning in.
Well, you've been calling for Manning for a while. I guess your new nickname for Quinn is Mr. Screen, not Mr. Freeze. But yeah, I like Clemson, but I like Texas to win the game. I like Clemson to cover the spread. All right, last playoff game of the week.
I'm gonna have to make my switch. I'm gonna have to go with Clemson as well.
Oh, he's changing it.
You're convincing me. You convinced me.
Hey, you come right on this train. Hey, I'm telling you, this is where you want to be.
Don't worry. This next one I'm against you. Don't worry.
SMU Penn State. I love the way Penn State played last week. They competed with Oregon. I think maybe could be a Final Four team. This to me is a SMU. I don't know. I like Rhett. Lashley's a good coach. I think they play really well against Clemson. I just like the way Penn State's playing. I like Penn State at the 8.5. All these games, the closest line 7. I thought these are the best teams in the country. Why is it because the home field advantage? Because all these teams that are favored are the home teams. So
SMU's quarterback Jennings, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah. Very good. I was super impressed with him. Even the game where they shit the bed recently and lost.
Yeah.
Still such a good, just poised quarterback. Yeah, that was fun. Just poised quarterback. I think that they're going to surprise everybody, and if not win this game, at least stay within the 8.5.
Okay. All right, so we're kind of flip-flop on some of these, like on some. I know I got you to switch the last one, so all right, let's go ahead and look at the college football bracket here. So we're each going to go and do mine. I'll do mine first. So Chance, if you want to pull up the bracket, please, real quick. And I'll just kind of sort out our picks. So first, go to the Clemson-Texas game. I'm going to take Texas to advance. I'm taking Texas to advance to play Arizona State. That game will be the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Next, I'll take Ohio State to beat Tennessee to go and face Oregon. What a tough quarterfinal that will be. The Ducks have to be thinking, how did we get this matchup against Ohio State, who we barely beat in Oregon? How do we get this matchup in the second round of the quarterfinals? SMU Penn State, I like Penn State to go play Boise. Indiana Notre Dame, I like Georgia to go play. I like Notre Dame to go play Georgia. So there it is. There's my quarterfinals. You have Georgia, Notre Dame, Boise, Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, and Arizona State versus Texas. All right, moving on to the Peach Bowl quarterfinal. I like Texas to beat Arizona State. That line should probably be around 6 or 7 again. So you got to think the 4 seed is going to be not favored in the game. I like Texas to advance to the Final Four. Oregon, Ohio State, another great game. I like Oregon. I like the Ducks. Gabriel's had an amazing season. This game is the Rose Bowl. It'll be a classic.
Well, that game's going to come down to Oregon not having to play a game. Their bye is going to give them so much fresh players that when Ohio State gets done either losing or winning against Tennessee, they're going to be beat to hell.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's Oregon's advantage in all these teams with a bye.
So look, Chance is making great points in my college football prediction. I appreciate that. Maybe you want to say that for yours because that's a great point, Chance. Boise versus Penn State. I think this is going to be the game of the quarterfinals. I think, just to your point, Penn State's going to come in riding high off the win, but a little banged up. I think Genty's got something to prove, and I think he has a monster game, and I think they upset Penn State. Not necessarily by the seeding, but they upset Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl. Boise's a lot closer than Pennsylvania, a lot easier drive. I think they're going to some of that Fiesta Bowl magic from back in the day when they beat Oklahoma. If you remember that game.
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty game.
Everybody remembers it.
I like Boise State to win that game to advance to the Final Four. I like Georgia to beat Notre Dame. Even though Georgia's been so up and down, I think this is their up game.
With Stockton at the helm?
I think Stockton's going to play well. I think the defense is going to carry them. I like the Dogs in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans to advance to the Final Four. So you can see my Final Four here. What a Final Four. Oregon versus Texas, and you got Boise State versus Georgia. So we'll start off with the top one, Oregon versus Texas. This is going to be in the Cotton Bowl in Texas. Give me the Ducks. Give me Oregon. I'll put them on upset alert in this game. I think Texas is just too inconsistent. You can be inconsistent against Arizona State. You cannot be inconsistent against Oregon. Oregon wins this game. I think Oregon may win this game by maybe 3-4 points. I'm putting them on upset alert because the game's in Texas. But I think Oregon wins by 3 or 4 to advance to the finals. Boise State, Georgia. Give me Boise State. Give me. I am on the.
You're lying.
I swear.
He's lying.
I think that Georgia plays that bad game like they played against Georgia Tech, and Genty runs wild, and we get the rematch of Oregon-Boise State from the beginning of this year. Not what people wanted, not the final that everybody thinks of, but I think Boise State goes to the finals. They play Oregon, and I like Oregon to be your national champion. Now, if you look back at the odds, if you go back, Chance, the odds to win the national championship, Oregon is the favorite at plus 370. So if you bet $100, you'd win $370 if they win. Boise State, if you bet $100, you would win $3,800 if they won the national championship. So I'm going to take them at maybe a $5 bet.
I already bet on SMU.
Okay. So odds are pretty favorable for Georgia, Oregon, Texas, Ohio State. And then they drop big time once you get to the next group. But Boise beats Georgia is my upset of the tournament. I like Oregon versus Boise and Oregon to win it all. So, Chance?
That's a big bracket. I like it. All right. Now let's put mine up here. We've got Clemson and Texas. I see Texas winning this. I see that just, like we said before, it's not going to be a problem for them. I do think maybe Clemson will keep it closer than the 12 points.
I think your heart is saying Clemson. This is the second time you've gone to this game, and I can just tell you're wanting to take
Texas.
Clemson. All right, Texas. Okay.
Dabo surprises everybody, but
not this time.
Texas being in the SEC and proving themselves, I think they're going to keep going.
That by proving themselves, Vanderbilt and Texas A&M is their biggest wins. Yeah, they've proved themselves. They've lost the two biggest games they've played. They've lost, by the way, to Georgia. So go on.
Who'd Alabama beat? Who'd Alabama lose to and beat?
Vanderbilt, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So we've got Texas winning that. They'll match up with Arizona State next. Tennessee, Ohio State. Like I said, I see Tennessee winning. Wait, didn't I?
No, you picked them at plus 7. Do you have them winning?
I do think they'll win.
So, wow. Okay, so you're pulling the upset in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
So, Michigan loses back-to-back games in Columbus to Michigan and Tennessee.
Yep. So, I think Tennessee's got the upset there.
I don't think that's a horrible pick. Tennessee can play really well for sure. So,
and they'll match up with Oregon next. Now we've got SMU, Penn State. I want SMU to win. Do I think they'll win? Maybe not. Not after seeing everything. But I'm hoping they pull this victory out and they beat Penn State. I want to see an SMU Boise State semifinal. Quarterfinal. I want to see a SMU and Boise State quarterfinal. And then Indiana Notre Dame. I think we both agree Notre Dame's going to win that one. I don't think it's going to be a hard fight or anything for them. Notre Dame versus Georgia will be that next matchup. Let's just start from that one.
Okay.
I see Georgia beating Notre Dame.
Okay.
I see that being a 14-point game.
Wow,
Georgia's putting it to them.
Even with Stockton at quarterback, like you mentioned earlier.
So I think with that, it's going to be a well-oiled machine type game. Kirby's just going to let him do a bunch of easy play action reads, some stuff that keeps him from getting
Etienne's
hit.
back too, so that helps a lot.
That does help a lot. You saw how explosive he was.
Yeah.
So I see them keeping Stockton safe and from getting any hands on him the entire game.
Okay.
That way, when they have to deal with the next round against the winner of the Boise State SMU game, they'll have everybody fresh that needs to be.
Okay.
So that whatever defense they face coming into that one, which I'll explain later, won't be able to handle it.
All
right. So let's go up to the Boise State SMU. I think Boise State would win that matchup.
Okay.
Again, I put money on SMU to win the whole thing, so I do hope that happens for my bet purposes. But I think Boise State wins. Like you said, Genty's got something to prove.
Okay.
And I think they're going to just run all over them. Now, SMU's offense is also going to be able to pass the ball on Boise State's defense. So I do think it's going to be a close game, but I think Boise State sneaks by with that one.
Okay.
Going up to Oregon and Tennessee, I see Oregon winning because of the bye week.
Okay.
There's no reason Oregon should be. They should not be the underdog in any way coming into that game. They should just.
And then that Tennessee Ohio State game is going to be a bruiser. It's going to be a tough game for both teams.
They're going to hurt each other so bad that when they come into that Oregon game, that whole first half for Oregon is going to be like a scrimmage. They're just going to run through them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's what Lanning's planning is, a whole bunch of misdirections and getting them running all over the field. So it's going to be impressive. Now, Arizona State and Texas. I see Texas beating Arizona State. I do see, Arizona State making it fun for the first 3 quarters.
Your boy running back. I mean, it's
Skibadoo,
Skabadoo, Squimmy, Squammy, Swami.
But no, they're a great team. I just see them not being able to keep up defensively with somebody like Texas. So Texas moves on.
Okay.
Then we've got the Oregon, Tennessee.
So you got Texas and Oregon.
Texas and Oregon now.
Yes.
Back to there. I think Oregon wins that.
Okay.
I do think that Oregon's going to have just every answer they need when it comes to defense and offense against Texas. They will still get scored on, and it'll probably be I'd say 10-point game.
Okay.
But I do think Oregon will pull that one out.
Okay.
Now we've got Boise versus Georgia.
Okay.
Because of depth and everything else, Boise's defense will not be able to match up with anything on Georgia's offense.
Okay.
Especially, they can maybe practice with Genty, but now they've got 2 or 3 running backs that are 5 stars for Georgia's backfield right now. I think Georgia ends up beating Boise State by probably 12.
Okay.
Because Boise will still keep it close, but then that 4th quarter, I think Georgia's going to run that clock out and win that game. So now we're going to end up with a Georgia-Oregon, which nobody wants to see.
Yep, national championship.
And I think Oregon wins it.
Okay.
So we both had the same result, just different matchup, right?
All right, that's not bad thing. Now tell me this right here. One underdog. SMU is going to be your underdog to win the national championship, and Boise is going to be mine. Is that what?
Sounds about right.
Okay. So there's your underdog play is Boise and SMU. Both have Oregon to win it all. A lot of people have that. I just think they're the best team.
And I think they've proven that they haven't had as many challenges as well.
Yeah.
But they've stayed healthy. They've scored as many points as possible. That they are the best team, I think, all around right now.
All right. So winner buys the other a steak dinner. We'll get the brackets both up on here. You'll see, and we'll go by points. Maybe 5 points for the first round, 10 for the second, 20, and then 50 for the national championship, which seems like we'll have both be there. So it's going to be to see who decides. This is going to be
pretty much those first 2 rounds.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, excited for the college football playoff. Some great picks, some great insight chance, and like I said, we'll be back here on Tide and Tigers.
All right.